In this tutorial today, I'm gonna focus on one brush, and that is one of my favorite brushes we have at Seint, the Buff brush. So the Buff brush is amazing for giving you maximum coverage with your foundation. So this is gonna be the brush I recommend if you're somebody with texturized skin or you really need the best bang for your buck when it comes to coverage. So we're gonna focus on this brush and how to use it to apply your main highlight, your contour, your accent highlight, and do a couple other different things from it. Everything I'm using today is coming from one stunning compact from Seint that I've customized to my makeup needs, and we'll get started. So I have my color correcting on my face to address the dark circles underneath my eyes, the rosacea, the little bit of breakouts I have. Color correcting is optional. If you're not sure if you need it, reach out and I can help you with that one-on-one. I'm gonna move on to my foundation. So I am focusing using the Buff brush today with my foundation. With Seint, any of our double-ended brushes work really well with applying and blending the makeup out. This tutorial is going to be completely focusing on this brush today, and so I'm just going to show you one way to apply your makeup. So I'm going to first go into my contour. So that's that middle brown cream I have right here, and I'm just going to place my contour with my finger on my face where I need and want dimension on my face. So my contour is on my cheekbones, where the cheekbone starts to where it stops, on the forehead, just on the top of the forehead, and then along my jawline. So that contour is a cream. I'm letting it sit there for a minute to just kind of melt, and it's gonna give me some dimension, make my cheekbones look more prominent, make my face look thinner. So now we're gonna start to fill in the gaps, because with our foundation, it's all placing your product strategically, so you end up using less product, and so these products last a long time. And less is more, because you don't need to necessarily add layer upon layer with your makeup. Every time you're doing that, you are emphasizing texture, and we don't wanna do that. We want our makeup to look as natural looking as possible. So now I'm gonna go into my main highlight. So my main highlight's gonna be the highlight that is closest to my skin tone. So I'm just gonna start filling in the gaps. This is a thin cream, and watch where I put it. I'm gonna place it where I want and need coverage. Now I'm gonna apply my accent highlight for pop-up brightness. So my accent highlight is that lightest shade of my highlight. I like to use an accent highlight just to brighten certain areas underneath my face. My accent highlights in the inner corners of my eyes, the outer corners, a little bit in that T-zone, filling in the empty gaps down the middle of my Cupid's bow and chin, and then in this gap area so that my neck and my face match up. Looks silly, but now we're gonna blend this. You could take your brush and dip it into your cream products and then apply it on. I just used my finger so you could see the placement of it. So either end of the Buff brush is gonna work for blending this out. There is no right or wrong way to use this brush. So this brush is going to be the brush out of all our brushes that gives the most bang for your buck for coverage. So if you're somebody who really needs a lot of coverage, then I recommend the Buff brush for that, because it has really, really dense bristles compared to some of our other brushes that we have. So I'm gonna take that larger end of the Buff brush, and I'm just gonna start pressing it into my skin where I have my main highlight, and I'm gonna start stippling, light dabbing motions, and blending that highlight in. can switch ends of the brush if you want to go to the smaller end to blend out your accent highlights, since these are smaller areas of your face. But I'm just using light dabbing motions. Don't swipe when you use the brushes, because that will just show brush strokes. Then you can use either end to blend in your contour. I'm going to use the smaller end of the buff brush, and I'm going to feather that contour line up onto my cheekbone to give myself a facelift. You can be a little more aggressive when you're blending your contour because it is a thicker cream. If you look at your skin and you see any areas that maybe you want a little bit more coverage, you can certainly build on your cream makeup. Cream makeup is buildable. I always encourage you to start off with less when you're applying your makeup, because less is more. These are highly pigmented products. A little does go a long way. Really, the only mistake you'll make with your makeup is by applying too much. And there's a solution to do that if you apply too much. But if you ever look at your makeup and you're going, you know, I want to place just a little bit more brightness right here, you can certainly add on there. Less is definitely more. So if you want to just emphasize a little more brightness there, you can certainly do that. And I'm looking and I want a little more coverage on these breakouts. So I have my foundation on. A couple places you can also add your contour is if you want to put 2 contour lines down your nose to make your nose look a little thinner, or lining the outside of your lips with your contour, you can certainly do that. Now, the buff brush is going to make it hard to do that. So I used multitasker brush. This is one of our smaller double-ended brushes, and the paddle end of the multitasker makes it really easy to contour your nose and to apply contour on the outside of your lip. And then I popped my accent highlight down the bridge of my nose for a pop of brightness. After you apply your foundation, you do not want to skip this really important step, and that is you're going to take a damp sponge, and this is our version of the Beauty Blender called the Perfector, and the Perfector is going to perfect your look. This sponge is especially important to use after you've applied your foundation, especially if you're using the buff brush, because the buff brush does pick up a lot of product. And that is the one mistake you can use with this makeup, is by applying too much. So this Perfector is going to ensure that we don't have too much makeup on our face. So if you didn't get the Perfector, I highly recommend you go get it, because shipping is always free. You're going to appreciate this product. So I've gotten it wet before I applied any of my makeup. I just got it wet. I've squeezed the excess water out. And now I'm gonna take that damp sponge and start dabbing it all over my skin. So what this is doing is it is continuing to blend my makeup. It is helping push that cream makeup into my skin so it looks more natural looking. And it's also picking up any excess product I have on my skin. After I've used my Perfector sponge to blend in my makeup and get any excess makeup off, I set it with that setting spray I used in the beginning as my primer. I spray this on as my setting spray so that my makeup lasts all day long. If you need a setting powder, you would use your setting powder after you spray the setting spray. So we have a vanilla dust. It's a setting powder that comes in a tin that pops right into your compact, and it's really easy to use. You would use a setting powder if you want a matte finish or if you have really oily skin. So now I'm gonna show you a couple extra steps you can apply into your makeup. So I have my coverage, I have my dimension. I'm gonna add a little bit of color to my skin. I'm gonna warm it up with our bronzer. So you could apply bronzer with your buff brush. I'm gonna be really honest, I think it would be a little difficult to really blend the bronzer in. It is a cream bronzer. It does blend really, really pretty. It looks like your contour, but your contour is shadow and your bronzer is warm. So I'm gonna show you that Perfector sponge, and you can just dab your bronzer into your Perfector, or your Perfector into your bronzer, and just apply your bronzer on the high points of your face to warm your skin up.
Now I'm going to apply a little bit of blush onto my face just to give a flush of color. So I'm going to use one of our lip and cheeks. This is a satin finish, and this is pink grapefruit. So I'm going to use my finger and apply my blush color on the high point of my cheekbone right up there. I'm going to stay a little away from this area. I don't want to put too much color. You can mix and match our lip and cheeks. So this is a lighter shade of pink called Petal. And Petal has a little bit of a gloss to it. I'm gonna focus Petal in the front of my cheek. And so now I'm just gonna blend that in with my Perfector. Can you see how putting blush actually makes your face look more lifted? You can also use your lip and cheek as your lip color. And if you want a little pop of shimmer, you can use any end of the buff brush and go into your illuminator. If you have a cream illuminator, you can just take your finger and dab it on. I'm gonna just take my sponge because this is one of our powder illuminators. This is Starlet. And Starlet is just a really pretty shimmer. I'm gonna add at the top of my cheekbones. Okay, so I threw some eyeshadow and eyeliner on and my look is complete. So I used the buff brush and the Perfector to achieve my makeup look today. Everything came from one compact from Seint. So you customize and build the compact that you want based on your needs and preferences. So if you'd like to get started with Seint, send me a selfie and I'll color match and recommend the best shades of foundation and so forth for you. And obviously I'll suggest the best type of brush you need based on the coverage you're looking for. If you purchase the buff brush and you're watching this tutorial to learn how to use it, I highly recommend you get the Perfector sponge if you haven't invested in that. That way you can continue to perfect your makeup look. And if it were me, I would also add another brush in there, such as the blend brush. The blend brush is really great for applying your bronzer, your blush, your illuminator. You can even do your eyeshadow look with this brush. I think these two together would be an amazing combination. If you need any help with your makeup, reach out to me. I will help you one-on-one and help you achieve maximum coverage, feel flawless and confident in your makeup, and do it in a matter of minutes.